Hello everyone, this is a Savage Hero Brian. Today I will be going to do another Nintendo theory video. For this theory video I will be discussing about the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild timeline placement because it's confusing to tell where it is and stuff because of a timeline split that happened in Ocarina of Time, splitting the timeline into three. There's a downfall timeline where Link dies, and when Link goes back in time, then it creates the child timeline and the adult timeline. And I'll go more in depth about the timeline split in just a few minutes. You may be wondering why I'm doing a video like this when YouTubers like HMK, Zotic, Dr. Willie, Commonwealth Realm, and of course the game theorist, aka Matt Pat, have already done videos for this topic and stuff, and they have made their theories really well and stuff, and they have found a lot of evidence where it should go and stuff. But I am making this video because I found out where it should go, and I say where it should go because the the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild director E.T. Anuma has said the following from a previous interview. Actually, those timeline related questions are difficult because we've never designed any Zelda games by saying, hey, we're going to put that game here. We need to have it fit into this period or that one, etc. That's not what comes first for us. But indeed, once the game is released and we've been able to develop our story, we can tell each other, oh yes, we can make it fit here. But that's not important to us, especially since there could be contradictions in every new game if we try to follow the timeline. If we can put a game in the timeline, that's great, but as for Breath of the Wild, we haven't really decided where it should go, well, where it belongs for now. And that probably is the reason why in previous interview he said the following. I wouldn't say that it obviously fits into any one part of the timeline, but if you played the game, you'll be able to work out where it fits. As you probably saw in the trailer, the most recent trailer, there's a woman's voice, and she says the history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of the Calamity Ganon. And as you know, the Zelda series up until now is a history of repeated attacks by Ganon. So there's food for thought there. I don't want to say anything more. I'd like the players to work it out for themselves, to play the game and see what they think. Which I find is bullcrap that they're actually practically depending on fans to tell them where it should be in the timeline and stuff, which I find annoying. Just like, why, Nintendo? Why do you do this to us? We freaking just want to know already, which sucks. And because of that, I'm making this video today. So let's go over about what happened in each timeline. So basically, the downfall timeline started when Link got killed, and after that, the Seven Sages from Ocarina of Time and stuff, which is a group that was supposed to help Link defeat Ganon and stuff, but in the end, since Link died and stuff, and Ganon possessed the whole Triforce, which is a powerful artifact in the Legend of Zelda series and stuff, and because of that, the Seven Sages then riskily seal Ganon away along with the full Triforce, and then after that Ganon broke the seal, that started a war, and that war is the imprisoning war. And the imprisoning war began, and then started war with the Hylians and stuff to take over Hyrule, and thousands of Hylians died and perished. And then but then Ganon in the end was also sealed away. But so were a lot of Hylians that died and stuff, which diminished the how many Hylians were in the land of Hyrule and stuff. But in the end, after Link reincarnates Ganon and Zelda, time and time again with Ganon getting defeated over and over again, at in the last game of the timeline, Legend of Zelda 2, the Triforce gets put back together again. And stuff, and Ganon's like killed for what we believed last time, unless Breath of the Wild takes place here, and there probably is going to be another game in this timeline, so I know Ganon isn't gone for good. So now let's go to the adult timeline, where Link kills Ganon as an adult, and so then after that, he then travels back in time to his childhood and stuff, and 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 stuff, and because of that is absent, Ganon breaks the seal and stuff, and because of that, the gods then flood the Hyrule and then create the Great Sea, which has a bunch of islands that used to be the mountaintops of Hyrule and stuff, where a reincarnated version of Link then appears and stuff, then kills Ganondorf with the help of Zelda and the sages of Wind and Earth. And then years after that, when they're trying to find land stuff, they eventually find land, and that then gets established to become New Hyrule. And now let's go to the child timeline, where Link then warns Zelda about Ganon, who was trying to get the Triforce and take over all of Hyrule and stuff, and because that, Ganon gets arrested and stuff. So then after that, Link goes into Termina, and he goes into Termina and stuff while trying to look for his friend Navi and fights Skull Kid, who's being controlled by Majora's Mask and stuff. And then after that and stuff, then Ganondorf, who is also Ganon and stuff, except human and stuff. There's really no difference except Ganondorf is reincarnated human of Ganon. So please don't get confused about that from here forward and stuff. But Ganon gets sent to the Twilight Realm and stuff, and because of that, then he escapes later and stuff, and then the hero Twilight, another reincarnation of Link, then kills Ganon and stuff, and stuff, and then after that is Four Swords Adventure, where Dark Link then tricks a Link into pulling the Four Swords and creates four of himself, and also Vaati gets released, who was a character from the Minish Cap and then the original game Four Swords, where the Four Swords was originally introduced. And also, he teams up with Ganon to take over all of Hyrule and stuff, who also steals a scepter and stuff. But in the end, Ganon and Vaati then get trapped into the Four Swords. And stuff. That's the end of the child timeline, as we know. So now let's go. Believe that Breath of the Wild takes place in the child timeline. So first of all, this line, when Zelda is doing a ceremony for Link, in her speech it says this line: "Skyward bound, adrift in time, through the embers of twilight." Skyward bound is a reference to Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which came before the timeline split, and it's the first game in the official timeline. And then Adrift in Time is a reference to Ocarina of Time and stuff, since Link time travels and stuff. And then Embers of Twilight, a reference to Twilight Princess. But thing is, Ocarina of Time and stuff in the child timeline, it never happened because Ganondorf gets arrested and stuff. So I don't know how anyone would know that Link traveled back in time to warn Zelda and stuff. It really doesn't make sense and stuff, because Link, when he's a child and stuff, in the child timeline, he never pulls out the Master Sword. It's not until Twilight Princess when the reincarnated Link who then gets the Master Sword from its pedestal, and so it's kind of confusing there. But the two other parts, the Embers of Twilight and Skyward Bound, they both make sense. So now let's go to another reason. The Calamity Ganon Hyrule Compendium description. It says this: the source of the darkness that has appeared time and again throughout Hyrule's history. It's been called many times from Great King of Evil to Calamity. Hibernating within a cocoon, it attempted to regenerate a physical form. After Link awoke, Bo was forced to confront him in an incomplete state, which confirms that Ganon, the Calamity Ganon, was trying to become Ganondorf once more and become human again, but because of Link, he then transformed to the Calamity Ganon, which is really weird and disgusting, in my opinion, and stuff, but this confirms I was trying to do that, which is why people think Breath of the Wild takes place in the child timeline, because he's trying to do that. And now let's go to another reason. Arbiter's Ground, and stuff, which appears in Twilight Princess as a prison, and that also has the Mirror Twilight. That is the main thing that made Ganondorf get banished into the Twilight Realm. And then in Breath of the Wild, Arbiter's Ground is seen, but it's buried and covered in sand, which makes no sense. There must have been a huge sandstorm or something over the last over 10,000 years and stuff, but it's really difficult to say that and stuff, because what sandstorm could do that and stuff, and there's literally barely any trace of a building that was there that was really tall, and the fact that there's like a stone thing right there and stuff makes no sense. That would be there over the course of time and stuff. So it's really difficult to say how Arbiter's Ground got bare and stuff. But this is some of the evidence that should go in the child timeline. And now, speaking of the Mirror Twilight from Arbiter's Ground, is this. People think this is a Mirror Twilight from Twilight Princess and stuff, but in the end, Twilight Princess, it got shattered. And also, how could it be on a beach? And it even has writing that is supposed to be Sheikah, but it's not even Sheikah and stuff. So it's and stuff. And the original Mirror Twilight, there was no writing even on. And the difference is that this thing, and stuff that people think is a Mirror Twilight and stuff, this helps you unlock a shrine in the game. Well, it appears to not have anything to do with the Mirror Twilight and stuff. And also, Mirror Twilight's more detailed, has a little bit different design than this supposed Mirror Twilight, which is basically a stone, a monument that is supposed to tell you how to unlock a certain shrine and stuff. And even when the Mirror Twilight is broken and stuff, it sort of looks similar and stuff, but as you see here, there's more detail, and you can tell there's a difference. Stuff which makes me very sketchy about if this is even the Mirror Twilight. I don't think it is and stuff, because how could you get on a beach and it doesn't really look like the Mirror Twilight? And as I know for a fact is that the Mirror Twilight had nothing to do with the Sheikah, even if the Twilight, which are the people from the Twilight Realm, may have been Sheikah and stuff. I don't think that this even is the Mirror Twilight because of those reasons and stuff. And now to another thing, the retail carvings from Twilight Princess and stuff. I found this really interesting and stuff. But I found this from when the game wasn't released yet and stuff, so we know that the guy right there and stuff is not the old man or Ganondorf, and the Gorons do look similar in that picture and stuff, but there's the Rito, and the Zora. It shows enough, but in the child timeline, since there was no flood and stuff, the Rito never existed because of the flood in the adult timeline. The Zora then became the Rito and stuff, but the Zora makes sense since they were in the child timeline. But in Twilight Princess, throughout the whole game, there is no reference of Rito. You only see them in stone carvings and stuff, which either means that they were around at one point and died and stuff, and also the Okara in this image and stuff. They obviously aren't in Breath of the Wild or even mentioned stuff, but it's weird that there are retail carvings. It might be an Easter egg or something like that, but it really is interesting, especially since there's a child Link. Probably after the event of Majora's Mask and stuff, but even in Ocarina of Time, there were no such thing as retail and stuff. So why would there be after Majora's Mask and stuff? After Link returns to Hyrule, it doesn't make sense. And stuff which I find very interesting and stuff. And now let's go to reasons why people think Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild goes into the downfall timeline and stuff. One of the reasons is Dark Link, who has appeared in Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, Oracle of Ages, even Spirit Tracks from the adult timeline, and Ocarina of Time. In the adult segment of the game, you fight a Dark Link in Ocarina of Time and stuff. And also, in the downfall timeline, he appears in the Adventure of Link and Oracle of Ages, and stuff. But he doesn't appear in the child timeline, but he surprisingly appears in Spirit Tracks, which is in the adult timeline and stuff. Which also, but this is obviously a reference to the Dark Link from Ocarina of Time stuff, because look at this. It closely resembles what Dark Link wore in Ocarina of Time, and stuff, meaning that it must have been in the downfall or the adult timeline and stuff. And also, you might be saying, Dark Link was in the child timeline. They're the interlopers from Twilight Princess and stuff, but since this was just representing the interlopers as links and stuff, and the interlopers are evil, it'll show Link, and since they're evil and stuff, it'll show Link as an interloper and stuff, so it'll look like Dark Link, but this is not Dark Link. This is only in a cutscene. You never even fight. And Four Swords Adventure, you only fight Shadow Link, not Dark Link. And there's a huge difference between the two. And stuff. And also, one of the things is you get to get the Dark Link outfit from Kilton. And it even has this description. Kilton developed this jet black armor as a result of his monster's research, a spurious replica of the green outfit once worn by a legendary hero, confirming that this was based off of the Hero of Times, a green tunic that I wore when he was an adult and stuff. And since you can buy it in the game, it gives you a special ability and stuff, and you even look like Dark Link from Ocarina of Time, confirms that this is not just an Easter egg, but this is an actual thing that people know about, and that was passed down through legends. Is the legend of the Hero of Time, and stuff, which is why people think that this is in the downfall timeline. And then another thing is the Linnell that has appeared in A Link to the Past, Oracle of Seasons, A Link Between Worlds, and even the original Legend of Zelda. And stuff, and MatPat, aka the Game Theorist, has explained this and stuff, and the Linos have only appeared in the Downfall timeline stuff and nowhere near the Unified timeline stuff. So that's why some people think it is in the Downfall timeline, but there is a huge flaw in this. There's Bokoblins and Lizalfos in Breath of the Wild, and they were never they never even appeared in the Downfall timeline and stuff, which makes it even more confusing to and it makes and it makes this argument even more flawed. And now there's another thing. Dark Beast Ganon, who is basically Calamity Ganon is pure enraged form, create basically out of pure physical malice in its truest form. And stuff, and since Ganon only appeared as a beast throughout the Downfall timeline, and stuff, and since he's been killed over and over and over again, and keeps reincarnating until he becomes a beast created out of physical malice in its truest and most powerful form yet, and stuff. So it makes sense and stuff, but the thing is, Calamity Ganon tried to become Ganondorf from when I said the Hyrule Companion description for Calamity Ganon earlier and stuff, which sort of makes this argument a little bit flawed because of that, and because Calamity Ganon then got killed and stuff. He became Dark Beast Ganon and stuff. So it's kind of confusing and stuff that Calamity Ganon's trying to become a Ganondorf again if this were to take place in the Downfall timeline. But now let's get to another thing. Is the map between A Link to the Past maps and the Breath of the Wild map. So if you take A Link to the Past map and take it to a 45-degree angle and stuff, it sort of, in a weird way, resembles Breath of the Wild map somehow. And so I can see how, because Lake Hylia and stuff, which is this lake right here, is in a similar location from Lake Hylia from Link to the Past and stuff. But the thing is, there is no Hebra in A Link to the Past and stuff. Maybe because of the fact that the tech at the time could not create a huge map like Breath of the Wild's map, or maybe because the Hebra region had nothing to do with Link to the Past story and stuff. But there's also no Akkala and stuff. And another thing is there's 2 Pharaons on the map and stuff, which makes no sense whatsoever because it says also Pharaon. And also another thing is the Gerudo Highland is where the Gerudo Desert is for A Link to the Past, which makes no sense for it to become colder, because that would be really weird. And also another thing is basically and that's and because of all these flaws and stuff, it makes this argument about being in the Downfall timeline even more flawed and stuff. But it since you have to turn into a 45-degree angle and stuff, but still missing a lot of stuff and stuff, which makes it really weird if it wasn't a Downfall timeline and stuff. And this is from the A Link to the Past and stuff, which is an early game in the Downfall timeline. So, and we know the map has changed drastically from Link to the Past. And now to another reason from Hyrule Historic, page 104. Since in Breath of the Wild, in the king's diary, it says that it's a tradition to name every princess Zelda. And this is because in the Downfall timeline, this happened after the Demon King Ganon was vanquished. Generation after generation, the kings of Hyrule maintained the order using the Triforce of Power, Wisdom, and Courage that was handed down to the royal family. But he was concerned about the princess' character and aptitude and told the secret of the Triforce to Princess Zelda, since he detected that she had a better aptitude than the prince. But because of that, the king hid the Triforce of Courage, cast the following spell over Hyrule. A crest shall appear on the hand of a human who has the aptitude, has been raised to follow the right way. He has gained experience and has reached a certain age. When the king passed away, no crest appeared on the hand of the prince, and although he became the new king, he could only inherit the incomplete power of the Triforce. A wizard close to the young king suggested that Princess Zelda might know something. The wizard got angry and threatened to cast a spell of eternal sleep on her, but Princess Zelda stubbornly refused. The wizard finished chanting the spell, and Princess Zelda collapsed in that spot. Regretting his mistake, the sad, grieving young king wished for Princess Zelda to wake up one day and placed her in the altar of the North Palace. He then stipulated that every girl born into a royal family would be named Zelda, so that this tragedy was never forgotten. The kingdom of Hyrule was once a vast land, proud of its glory, but over time it decayed and became but a small kingdom, which explains why Zelda and Breath of the Wild is named Zelda and stuff, because of the tradition started from Legend of Zelda 2 and stuff. And now we'll talk about the adult timeline placement if it were to go into the adult timeline stuff. So one of the reasons why people think is in the adult time is because Sage Princess Ruto. There's a reference of her in one of the stone monuments made by Zara. It's called History of the Zora Part 5, The Sage Princess Ruto, as told by King Dorothin. And it says later on in this chapter of the History of the Zora that Ruto fought alongside the hero Time and stuff, as if the hero Time actually defeated Ganon and stuff. But this could also mean that she fought along the hero of Time and stuff, and the hero Time died, but she still technically did and stuff. And another reason is the salt rock that you find in Breath of the Wild. You can find it all over the place, throughout every part of Hyrule, even in Hyrule Castle and stuff. And says the following: crystallized salt from the ancient sea, commonly used to season meals, cannot be eaten in this form. And so it's this ancient sea, which could be a reference to Skyward Sword since there's an ancient sea and stuff, but that would never flood Hyrule and stuff and make salt rock appear all over Hyrule, even in the Hebra Mountains and stuff, which makes no sense. So the ancient sea they must be referring to would be the Great Sea, since that flooded Hyrule and stuff. Another reason is the Sheikah technology compared to what the Tower of the Gods look like. In design and stuff, the Sheikah technology looks similar to the Tower of the Gods and stuff, and since the Sheikah created the 4 divine beasts in Breath of the Wild and stuff, which was praised to be the power of the gods and stuff, and since it has such high-tech technology and stuff, maybe after Ocarina of Time, that's when they started to get technology and stuff, and then they create the Tower of the Gods and the high technology in there for the gods and stuff because the gods told them to and stuff, but because of the Great Flood and stuff, the Sheikah were then killed off and stuff. And stuff, and there weren't that many Sheikah left, and technology was wiped out and stuff, which would explain why we don't see this technology anywhere in the adult timeline, except something similar, which is the Tower of the Gods. And another thing is Death Mountain compared to Dragon Rose Island and stuff, because look at the map placement. There's Death Mountain right here in this part of the map, and then Death Mountain Breath of the Wild in this part of the map. It's so similar, and so where would be, and also Dragon Roost Island has a volcano, and so and Death Mountain is also a volcano, and so maybe Dragon Roost Island then it then erupted once more and stuff, and Hyrule became unflooded and stuff over time after New Hyrule and stuff, and it became the Death Mountain from what we see today. And I'll be going into more specific detail, more in depth about what I mean. That's the world of Hyrule, the original Hyrule, not New Hyrule, but Hyrule. Oh my god, the War of Hyrule deceased and stuff, and eventually became the Death Mountain from Breath of Wild and stuff. I'll go in depth about that later. Another thing is, in the Wind Waker, there's Rito and Koroks, which are only found in the adult timeline and stuff, and the Wind Waker Rito compared to the Breath of the Wild Rito, they seem to have changed a lot, but weirdly enough, in games like Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks, they have not been seen. So probably because when New Hyrule was found, they then stayed on Dragon Roost Island and stuff, which is their home, and that's why you never seen them. And since Valu made them become Rachel by giving them feathers and causing them to fly and stuff, was never in the alternate universe that Phantom Hourglass takes place in, there would be no Rito and stuff. And eventually Valu then gave the Rito the power to create wings for themselves, instead of Valu giving them a scale of himself to the Rito so they can grow wings, but gave them the power to do it for themselves. But they do look drastically different, but they look more like the bird like creature from the Twilight Princess carvings and stuff. And the Koroks from the Wind Waker compared to Breath of Wild's Koroks and stuff, they don't really seem that different. It's just the animations are different, but there's literally no difference at all, except some Koroks are darker than others, or lighter than others, and so even more shades of stuff. And then let's go to another theory where it could possibly be, and that is a new unified timeline, since Breath of the Wild has evidence for it to be in all three timelines, and so which makes people believe that it takes place in a unified timeline, which is actually impossible since the Downfall timeline is an alternate universe. And stuff. So you cannot combine the adult timeline and the child timeline, which are parallel timelines, with an alternate reality and stuff. It would just create a crazy time paradox and would destroy the legend of Zelda's Hyrule and stuff. And Breath of the Wild would not be able to even exist and stuff, because Hyrule would be destroyed from a timeline conversion as crazy as this, debunking how it could be in a unified timeline. It just would not make sense. And also, I believe I found out where Breath of the Wild should take place. I believe it should take place in the adult timeline, so because it makes sense and stuff. And I'll be explaining way more in depth why it should be in the adult timeline and stuff. And I'll be doing that video in a few days on why it should be in the adult timeline too. And that is my thoughts on where it should go and stuff. And it took hours to make this video and stuff. Hope you like the video and stuff. And I'll be making some more Nintendo Theory videos. And so for now, bye.